We need more aluminium. It's just not working out. I'm gonna have to build a new factory. Alright, I'm coming. Welcome to Catafly Presents a Satisfactory Aluminium Factory Tour. So this is the old aluminium factory. Currently really special at the moment, it's just a square box. It did have a train station in the future. Concrete, steel beams, wire, cables, etc. Crafting bench and workbench. And a box next to it that you can't see that holds just items for life, health, ammunition, novelists. We also have just the awesome sink here that was recycling the factory products and all the equipment from the factory itself. So yeah, that's the old aluminium factory. It had 3 production lines producing aluminium sheets, but the system always stalled out with water, or excess water I should say, and that is why the new aluminium factory packages all of the excess water and sends it off to the awesome sink. So this is my new aluminium factory. This aluminium factory produces quite an amount of aluminium sheets per minute. Not all are in use, some are just sitting in storage boxes here waiting for update 4 so that they can be transported off to wherever it will be that I will produce the new items. We'll just start over at this section here. So in this section here, I have 2 groups of 8 constructors. So there's 8 here. And another 8 over there. These constructors are making silica for use in the aluminium ingots production line. We'll just go down towards the back and I'll circle back around to show you the rest. This is my water packaging section. So the 2 packages there, sorry, I should say the 3 packages there package the excess water produced by the aluminium scrap refineries. You can see a U-bend in the pipe here. This U-bend allows for the excess water to build up pressure in the pipe here. Once the pressure is built up in the pipe, it goes up over the top of the U-bend and down into the water buffer, meaning that the packages are only packaging water when there is enough pressure in the pipe and enough excess water to do so. The excess water from the refineries is not returned to the main water network for reuse to prevent the system stalling if there ends up being too much excess water, as what was happening in my old aluminium factory. So sorry, there are 4 packages. just up in here. This is where silica is normally stored. It currently just continually flows through the system, but I can switch it off so that it all just gets stored here if I need to. And just up on the next section, this is where the containers are stored for the packages below. And just here, this is where I have water being stored before it this is where I have water being stored before it heads off to the awesome sink for recycling. So you can see all the excess water there, traveling along the conveyor belt along the back of the factory over to the awesome sink. Just show you outside here. Here we have a switch. This switch allows me to turn off all the power to the forest above. In the forest above, I have 2 coal nodes and 2 aluminium resource nodes coming down for use in this factory. I use a beacon to tell me what this switch is, just in case I forget. This switch design will be replaced in update 4 with the new switches that are coming out. And here we have the first row of refineries that are making the aluminium solution. So we have 4 production lines. So each production line has 6 refineries. So 6 here, so 3 and another 3 here, leading to the storage buffer. It's pumped up to the roof and around and down, allowing there to be 2 storage buffers. And then it heads into the 2 refineries here at the front. And these 2 refineries are making the aluminium scrap, which is then sent into a storage box there, and the overflow sent down to the basement level to go into the overflow conveyor belt system. The same is done with the silica out there as well. It's in the overflow system. You can see there's a lot of silica heading up on the overflow belt. It's because most areas of the factory are already full. And I'm also not using quite a large amount of the refineries in the second row of aluminium solution machines. That's because it's not needed right now. I put this in just so the space was allocated for update 4. Didn't want to have to do too much work once update 4 came out in regards to space, so I just made sure I had the space allocated and could come back and put the new mixing machines in later on. The entire back row does run. We have all the pipes of water. The water here is piped in separately for every 4 refineries. So we have the 3 at the end, plus 1 from the next group on a separate pipe system. Then another 2 and 2 here on a separate pipe. this one here and these three here on another pipe, and the same is done for the row on the back. We have 4 refineries on one pipe, another 4, and then the next lot, all on separate pipes. All silica is sent down to the basement to be put into the overflow system network to travel to all of the forges. I'll just show you the back here. At this end we have the awesome sink, which recycles all of the excess materials that are in the factory. As you can see at the moment, there's quite a bit going in there, but these products don't give you that many points, so it's not really helping to get the extra tickets, as I am still yet to build my trophy room. I only have 2 trophies and I haven't really been focusing on them, and I don't think that sending all my turbo motors etc. to the awesome sink is the way to gain the points to get enough tickets to complete the rest of the trophies. Here we have the overflow storage area, so the belt's going up here. This row of storage boxes holds all the excess aluminium scrap and silica. Once these storage boxes are full, then the rest of the items go to the awesome sink. So you can see right now that they are full just by looking at the elevators here. They're not moving. So when they're full, here we have just a forge which is turning the excess items into aluminium ingots. It just heads up to the 2nd floor, or I should say the 1st floor, because this is the ground floor, for storage for later use. Perhaps even for use in this factory after update 4. Who knows? Here we have some conveyor lifts heading back down. This is the overflow belt system. It loops from that side of the factory, from these forges here, underneath. So it heads across the top, back down this side, heads off to the other end to get put into these boxes or sent to the awesome sink. And this pipe system here is the overflow water. This is all the excess water that comes out of these refineries here. So we have 8 refineries, all having excess water, which heads off to the packager, which I showed you earlier. The storage boxes for the forges to make the aluminium ingots, and the smart splitter, which helps with the overflow. Over here we have the forges that are making the copper alloy ingots alternative recipe, and this heads off to the assembly layers over there to make the aluminium sheets. Now here we have another switch. This switch can be used to turn off these forges if we no longer want to produce the copper alloy ingots. Again, this switch will be replaced with the switch that is coming out in update 4. So we have 4 forges along here making the aluminium ingots. Here we have another switch. This switch can turn off the entire factory, including all of the resources that are coming in. So that'll be the iron ore, the copper ore, the 2 coal, and the 2 aluminium resources. Sorry, I cannot pronounce the name of those resources. It starts with B. So it can turn off all of the external resources plus the entire factory. This includes the resources that are coming down from the swamp underneath the nuclear facility. We just have a vehicle in case we need it for emergency use. And we have these boxes here. These boxes are full of supplies that you would need throughout the world, so things to heal yourself with, ammunition, nobelisks, beacons, gas masks, hazmat suits, filters for the hazmat suit, just everything you could possibly need. Every factory in my world has a set of these, with the exception of the nuclear setup, which has multiple points throughout, full of extra items for radiation in case of emergency. Before I show you the assembliers, I'll show you the first floor. The first floor has again another 4 forges, making aluminium ingots for use in the assembly line. Now these forges up here will only function if there is enough excess resources coming in from the machines below. And as you can see by looking at the belts here, that is definitely happening. These belts are full. And we have here the assembliers. Now we have these assembliers set off in groups. So we have assembliers in groups of 3 over there. So there's 6 there and another 6 here. As I said, only those 6 at that end function 24/7. These 6 will only function if there are resources in excess for these 4 refineries to run. Which of course you can see is happening. We have the storage boxes for the aluminium sheets. As I said before, these 3 sets of storage boxes are just sitting here, not going anywhere for future use in update 4. The rest of these storage boxes are going back to the main factory for use in the main production lines. As you can see, some are still producing aluminium sheets. That's because the train above is picking up the resources. And then we have some that are full. That's because we have aluminium sheets heading back to the main factory at the moment in excess. Because not all machines in the main factory that use aluminium sheets are currently running, as their purpose is finished at the moment. So we have the heat sinks. Heat sinks are used in radio control units. Radio control units are used in turbo motors. This will all change in update 4, so we'll have to do some work. I'll just give you a view here of the storage boxes going up to the train station. I've tried my hardest to make it look as nice as possible. You don't have to make it look nice. If you want to build your world in a complete spaghetti mess, that's perfectly fine. I just, for my own peace of mind, organization equals peace. It equals efficiency. It equals my poor memory not having to be relied upon when it comes to coming back to a factory like this after 3 months of gameplay and not understanding why it's built a certain way or why yeah, what can I say, you know? Bad memory equals not knowing what's going on in a factory in the future. And just here, I'll show you, is where the excess items are being produced into aluminium ingots, and they're just sitting here waiting for use. And in here we have the storage boxes for the copper alloy ingots. I will now show you the basement level. So I'll just duck out here and we'll go down. So here is the resources coming in from the swamp and local resources coming in underneath. The copper and the iron for making the aluminium ingots. And we have 5 belts coming in from the swamp for aluminium solution production. All resources from the swamp are belted out. Even if they're just belted out of the swamp, sitting, waiting for future use. I did this so I didn't have to deal with the radiation in the future if I needed those resources. Here we have the excess items conveyor system. So all excess items come down to the basement, as I said, are merged together, and head off to the first floor before coming back down over here and heading off to excess storage or to the awesome sink over there. So you can see the silica here. All these lines are the same under here. So you can see the silica that's coming down from the back row of refineries coming along here and merging with the first row of refineries and then heading off to the excess resources overflow conveyor system. That's the same for each group. So here we have the aluminium resources being split off and heading into the refineries here as well. So this belt is doing the first row, same with this belt here. These two are using impure resources. That's why there's 2 belts running on this one here to provide enough. This back row here is running off pure nodes, so there's only 2 belts supplying the 12 refineries on the back row. And this is where these resources come in. These are all the resources from the swamp. I have beacons to tell me how much is on each belt and how much per minute comes out of the node, so I know for future. And here is the resources that are coming down from the forest above, again with beacons to tell me how much is on them. So we have coal, which has been merged and used down in the front row of refineries to make the aluminium scrap. And this is just a view of the belts coming down from the swamp, the forest above. I put the windows in so that you can see the resources are flowing and flowing at their maximum capacity. And just a view of the water level. Now, I can't get in here, but inside this wall here are storage buffers for the water. Each water pipeline has its own water buffer before it's then piped up to the factory above. I will come back in the future and make it so I can get into the water buffer storage area. So this is just where all the pipes go into that area. You can see the aluminium factory uses quite an amount of water. It could use less if I piped the excess water from the production line back into the water network, but I just don't want to be dealing with numbers and trying to make sure the system is balanced correctly to account for the excess water coming out of production. This is because that can change over time. Some refineries may not be running, or all refineries would be running, so you don't have a constant variable that changes. It's just it just changes too often. It's not static, so I keep it separate just for simplicity. That's just my own personal choice. So now I'll show you a view of the little outpost above the aluminium factory. This is where I came back after a hard day's work. Just go up so that you can see it. So this is the outpost above the aluminium factory. And you can see the resources coming in there that go down into the factory. The outpost has again a workbench, craft bench, storage box with materials, novelists, ammunition, health related items, beacons, fuel, jetpack, everything you need really. And again a vehicle. This vehicle currently can't go anywhere, as it's road has not been connected to the ground. It just, at the moment, stops. I haven't done a lot of work up here in the forest, so there's still a lot of little nasties around. Some of which we just won't mention. And here we have the first train station that brings in the containers for the water packaging line. So it's just a station, there's nothing else up here. Just brings it in and sends it down. This comes in from the lakes with the oil. Down there in the distance with the building that is white, I'm making just a little bit more in containers than I'm actually using. And you can see the bridge over there in the distance. That's that train. Just comes along here, through the forest, down through that gap over there, and into the station. Now for the other train station, this train station over here is the train that takes all of my aluminium sheets, except for the 3 production lines, back to the main factory. Again, there's nothing here, it's just the train station with all of the belts connected. It runs down through the forest and joins my main train bridge network. Here you can see the belts for the aluminium factory coming in to help identify these belts. All the belts for the aluminium factory have silver walls, or the metal walls, rather than the purple walls. If it's a purple wall, such as that one over there, it's heading somewhere else. So that purple walled conveyor belt system over there is actually heading to the nuclear facility. And we also have the power cables here coming in. One power cable coming in and one heading out. It heads in so that I can turn off the entire factory or turn off sections, and then the cable heads back out to power the miners down there, so that if I do turn off the factory, the miners will turn off as well. You can see enough little outpost there on the pole. Again, it just has resources in it in case you need it in an emergency. And that's it. That's my aluminium factory. I had to rebuild my aluminium factory to be able to get all productions finished before Update 4 came out. Otherwise, I wouldn't even have a full storage system of turbo motors, let alone heat sinks, radio control units, etc. The old aluminium factory just was not keeping up because it kept stalling out. And it wasn't producing enough aluminium sheets in the long run anyway. So yeah, I hope you like my aluminium factory. Please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for future videos. Thank you for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.